Thank you, Genevieve. Welcome to the San Francisco Dharma Collective, the world's coolest Dharma collective, maybe the only Dharma collective that I know of anyway. Please correct me if you know of others. Which definitely makes us the coolest. This is the first time this has ever been too loud, which I'm impressed by. It never happens. I could just really yell louder too if we want to.
Talking louder when
Yeah, totally. There we go. Good, now we can get into my real voice, which is about there. That's where I'd like to talk. So anyway, you guys, we're going to do a guided meditation. As always, when you are in this room, you are welcome to do whatever meditation you want. Far be it for me to tell you what to do in the privacy of your own skull. Right? The yogurt sloshing around inside your skull gets to do whatever it wants. Okay? However, outside your skull in the room, two serious rules: don't move and don't make any sounds. So inside your skull, total freedom. Outside your skull, lots of freedom, except don't move and don't make any sounds. Okay? If you want to run screaming from the room right now, then now is your moment. No screamers. Okay. Our little friend here gets to move and make sounds. Due to popular request, we're going to even sit longer tonight than usual, so that you hardcore, heavy-duty, industrial strength yogis and yoginis can really hit the level of radical, non-dual mental explosiveness that you really want. It might take a little while. So we're going to give you that extra time you need. If that's too long and you're just, the yogurt in your skull is exploding, then you can just stop meditating, but still remain still and silent. Okay? Okay. Begin by settling into your meditation seat, your dhyānasana, and simply feeling your body. Feel the sensations of sitting. Feel the sensations of being in this room. Settle in. You may wish to remove glasses or not. You may wish to simply contact breathing sensations, or if you want to, you can contact, as I'm saying, more general body sensations of sitting and being. Good. Next, sit up straight, extending your spine upward, lengthening the backbone, getting some room in your belly to breathe, and just noticing how sitting both in a still manner and an upright manner already has a kind of poise to it, kind of elegance that brings stillness and poise, and we might even dare to say elegance to the mind eventually. If you let this posture, this asana, work its way into your being, it actually will help your meditation. If we think of meditation as a kind of balance between relaxation and attentiveness, relaxation and bright awareness or attention, then the posture itself can be both upright, which we would associate with the alertness, the attention, the brightness of mind, but also itself relaxed, repose. So the asana of meditation itself can embody this beautiful polarity between brightness and relaxation, attention and stillness. So just notice that about your posture, your body, the way you're sitting. There doesn't have to be a particular pose, but it's the way you're sitting. And next, just begin to contact the relaxed part of sitting. Either the gentle beauty of breathing, feeling how delicious it is to breathe, and really contacting just that deliciousness, and or feel into gentle, peaceful, relaxed sensations in the body. Anything that feels soft, open, peaceful, at rest, at ease, still, quiet, and so on. Either of those two possibilities will work. And let's just do that for a few minutes. While you're doing that, I want to invite you to allow your eye muscles to relax and your face, any fixed expression to just come to neutrality, any tightness in your mouth or whatever. You may wish, some people like to have a little tiny nanoscopic hint of a smile on their face, just barely there at all, not enough to make their face tight or whatever, but just enough to give that little inclination of the mind towards delight, towards pleasantness, and the rest of the face and head completely relaxed. And then also, if you're feeling any sense that your arms or hands are still ready to do stuff, just let go of that. Let them become as limp as wet seaweed. They're just completely plopped. Bonelessly plopped. And the same with your legs and feet, so that the whole body, besides being upright and alert, is absolutely as relaxed as it can voluntarily be. There may be some stuff that's tense and just has decided to be tense, that's fine. Totally accept that, don't fight with it, bring attention to relaxed sensations. Focus on pleasant, soft, gentle, open, peaceful, still, quiet sensations. Good. Now, remembering that you get to do whatever meditation you want, or you can follow the guidance. Begin by contacting what it's like to be you right now. Kind of generally tune in to body sensations, emotional sensations, the uprising of emotions in the body, thoughts that are arising. You're just noticing those as activity, and also the sights and sounds of the room around you, along with whatever other senses might be arising for you. Maybe the center of experience right now is in smell sensation, or perhaps you are remembering a taste from when you were 3, who knows? But whatever it's like to be you right now, I want you to tune into that and continue to tune into it, because of course, in the next second, it has changed. And in the next second, it has changed again. And we're not concerned with telling the story to ourselves of what it's like to be us right now, but rather to continue to experience it directly. So if you find yourself forming a story, that's not it. It's about coming back to these streams of sensory arisings and passings that constitute the experience of being me right now. Each time you find yourself lost in that narration about what it's like to be you right now or whatever else, come back, let go of the narration and just come back to noticing directly what it's like to be you right now. Remembering that each moment of being you is new and different. Fresh and surprising. Just keep coming back over and over and over to present moment experience. If you want to, you can use a label like present to help remind you to just stay with what's arising now. Good. Now, keep doing this, but with one variation, which is just noticing the passing of things or the vanishing of things. So, body sensations arise, but they vanish. Might come right back, but there's a part of it that's vanishing. Just notice that vanishing. For example, if there's a tingly type sensation, that's like dozens and dozens and dozens of vanishings happening. And other things arising and then vanishing. So just notice any sensation that comes to an end, even if it starts right up after that again. Another example would be the end of the out-breath. There's a vanishing there as the out-breath comes to an end. The end of the in-breath, there's a vanishing there. Emotional type sensations also have similar properties where they can dissolve and vanish and then reappear, dissolve, become silent, reappear. So notice that vanishing of emotion. External sound arises and vanishes a lot. Each of my sentences ends with a vanishing. Each word, each phoneme ends with a vanishing. Same thing with thoughts. Thoughts arise and vanish, and even parts of thoughts vanish. So as you're sitting here simply being with what it's like to be you, noticing sensory experience in the present moment, allow awareness to lean into the vanishing, the going away of things, the disappearance that is continuously happening. The usual label for this, if you want to use a label, is gone. And remember that once something vanishes, there's nothing left to observe there, so you can move on to something else, or it might come right back. But you're just observing the vanishing. If you're paying close attention, you'll notice that pretty much everything is just continuously vanishing. Or at least there's something vanishing in experience continuously. Good. Now either continue to do this, or if you have very good concentration, narrow this down to just vanishings in the mind. Just thought, activity, vanishing. Doesn't mean it all goes away and stops. It means any piece of thought activity that starts, you notice when it, of its own accord, stops or passes away. New thought activity may arise of its own accord, fine, but just notice that each word of each thought, each phoneme of each thought vanishes. If there's no thought activity, then listen to that silence very, very carefully. Good. Now notice that somewhere in the center, or some of experience, or somewhere in the mind, no matter how busy or calm the mind is, there's a spot where absolutely nothing is happening. Even if lots is happening around it in the mind, there's another spot in there where it is perfectly at rest, nothing going on at all. So just notice that spot and then keep noticing it. Sometimes it's hard to notice because everything around it is so busy, but that's what makes it stand out once you know what to look for, which is the spot where nothing's happening at all. And once you notice that spot, you don't make the spot. It's not some kind of suppression or rigid tightening. It's just naturally there of its own accord. All you're doing is noticing it. And then continuing to notice it and resting awareness upon this spot of non-activity. It's very easy for the mind to get re-involved in the activity, so just keep bringing it back to that spot of non-activity, the spot of stillness. Good. Now, come back to the experience of being you, noticing body sensations, noticing emotions in the body, noticing external sounds, maybe even external sight in some way, like the light on your eyes, noticing thoughts arising and passing, but being with the experience of being you with as much bright, crisp, clear, high resolution, shiny clarity as possible. Razor sharp vipassana on what's arising in the moment. Good. Now let go of that, and we'll end the meditation. So just very slowly and gently allow yourself to return to a more interactive mode with the room around you. Somebody may have to go outside. Thanks, Genevieve. Good, so questions, comments, reports about that meditation for you. How did that go, and do you have questions? That was about 10 minutes longer than normal, so somewhere in the 50 plus minutes of meditation. So good stillness, you guys. Are you asking a question, Genevieve?
Sure, I can ask a question.
That looked like maybe you were raising your hands. I wasn't sure.
I had a really interesting experience. I'm not sure how to put it in terms of when it happened. Of suddenly having a fear arise, and then noticing this kind of like a career thing, like I've been in a really lovely still place, and then noticing the ending of that, and noticing kind of the body sensations that came along with it, and noticing those following, and it was just so intriguing to kind of get into that. It kind of came out of nowhere. Also in noticing the endings of everything, noticing the way that as I noticed the ending, it would come back. So for example, with the fear, like I noticed it, noticed the ending of it, and then it came back when I noticed the ending, and then faded away, and then came back again a little bit and faded away. And I had that happen repeatedly. Is that typical? Is that like with practice that stops happening as much?
It just depends, some things, like let's say there's tingling in your leg and you're really contacting tingling in your leg. And like I mentioned, tingling is like basically like, thousands of points appearing and disappearing, appearing and vanishing, appearing and vanishing. And it just keeps doing it. It might do that for an hour, right? Just be tingly. And so you're watching tons of vanishings and reappearings, right? And it's gonna just keep doing that because that's what it does. Emotions, or especially body sensations of emotion, tend to show their impermanence nature if you give them a lot of attention. Emotions are there as signals. Signals, once they're received, tend to just, now they're done. They got witnessed, and so that's that. So there can be this kind of thing of when you notice it clearly, it vanishes. But not always, and certainly not for most people at first. There's a way that emotions can be sticky. And so if whatever thoughts are, driving the emotion keep turning, then it's going to turn it up, do another turn, and the emotion will come up again. Then it vanishes, and then the thought will bring it up again. And this is a known feature of like meditators versus non-meditators, is that really strong meditators, like, monks who've been sitting there for 30 years, they have really intense emotions arise, but they vanish as soon as they arise. They're just gone. very strong, but then gone, boom, and it does not come back. Whereas people who've never meditated before, the emotion will come up, and then it will just keep being triggered and triggered and triggered and triggered and triggered, because the thinking is holding it in place or continuously re-triggering it. And so it's sticky. It can't just do its thing of arising and passing, because the narrative part of the mind is going, now I'm having this emotion, and it gets involved, and so it turns into this thing, just the way it is, right? And so if you're just watching it, do that just a little bit, good. You know, sometimes if let's say you've been at a retreat or something, and your vipassana is really on that day, or you just meditated doing vipassana on emotions, you'll just have this experience of a big emotion coming up, and it just is gone. It's the weirdest thing. It's like, it just turns to mist, and you're done. And you had a full experience. It was a total emotion, and it was huge. And then it's just vanished on the breeze, and doesn't need to come back. It was complete.
That's kind of how the fear thing was with the working. It was really intense. It came up, and I thought, oh, it's like trying to pull me back into my daily life. And I don't need to deal with that right now. And it kind of did that thing. It just vanished. Like it just kind of like that, like turned into a mist.
Poof. Yeah, so you just keep letting go. We're not trying to get them to go away either. I mean, if they stay, fine. That's what it wants to do. It's not like the goal is to get them to vanish. The goal is to just be with what's happening in a very clear way. It's just often the case that if you are with emotions that are arising in a very clear way, they tend to just do their thing and be gone really quickly. There was something else in there, but I can't remember. Yeah. What else, you guys?
It was really apparent to me how absolutely fleeting the nature is of pretty much almost everything for me. Like it was like popcorn, kind of like gone. It was just like arise, gone, arise, gone, arise, gone, sound, this, that, that. And there was a lot to look at, and it was vivid, but then it would be replaced. And I noticed the gone, and something else would arise and fall, and arise and fall. And I only had a few emotional, like body emotion senses, but those were, and that's starting to happen for me, where they're pretty intense, but then it's just like, then I look at them and it's just like, but then it goes to something else and I don't feel it at all. And it's the one thing that's really sticky for me is sometimes physical sensations. But even when I look really into those, like my back was bothering me, it's constantly changing. It's like not a continuous pain. It's not the same. It's not the same shape, and it doesn't, it has a different texture, and it's constantly. And I realize I am just some collection of fleeting experiences. Like I'm not the same. I felt very different when I was different being than the one I was observing when we first started the meditation as to the end. It's something else.
And is it even a collection?
Is it even a collection?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right?
Yeah.
So there you go. Just keep going in that direction, right? Noticing the cloud of fleeting whatever.
Yeah.
There's this, I think I was mentioning Laldev or Laleshwari the other week, who is a Kashmiri female saint from the 1200s. And, in India, in the Indian culture sphere, you can get these poet saints, right? Like, we just don't have that very much. St. John of the Cross wrote some poetry, but it's a real thing in India, and she described herself in a poem as a somewhat something moving, dreamlike on a fading road. That's her experience of herself. A somewhat something moving, dreamlike on a fading road. So even the road is vanishing, and it's all just dissolving as it appears, right? So really, she's great, and very beautiful use of language to describe her experience. And interestingly, she also uses both, because it's Kashmir, she uses both Muslim and Hindu religious terminology. Very interesting. Anyway, yes. a collection of stuff vanishing.
Collection of stuff that you can't even hang anywhere. There's not even any shelves for it.
Yeah, the shells keep
They keep
dissolving.
dissolving. It's
Yeah.
kind of a problem for
It
everybody.
is. Right. Good. Yes.
This is
Sorry.
really happened to me, but I kept feeling like I was going to fall asleep. I mean, I am particularly tired today, but usually I don't have that sensation where I actually have to catch myself.
Do you think it might be because you're particularly tired today?
I am particularly tired today, so that's part of it. And it was actually like a little, like I get kind of a jolt. I suddenly realized like, oh, you know, it almost was like a little bit of a shock to suddenly realize I was falling asleep.
You're getting into dullness a little bit, yeah. So the thing there is to just do whatever it takes to brighten up, even if you have to open your eyes or whatever. But what can happen is, we're building a new gear here. And usually you're either awake and tense or totally unconscious and relaxed, right? That's kind of the two default gears of a human being. And then in our culture, we're building the totally unconscious and totally tense gear, which is, completely pathological. But we're trying to develop the other part, like super relaxed and incredibly awake. But it can sometimes be the case that when you get in, especially if you get into real still stuff and you're really relaxed and it's quiet, it starts moving into that gear of, okay, night time. Right? So we just gotta continuously not let that happen. And in fact, that's so seductive because it's really, you can get into meditation spot of just like, I'm just kind of floating in a peaceful, blank dream. And it seems like meditating, but it's really just kind of a sleepy trance. And so you just want to you have to just open your eyes or stand up or something if it gets extreme. But the best cure is to sleep.
True.
Right? We all need more sleep.
So I had a lot of trouble finding the quiet spot, and then a weird thing happened where my bodily awareness started falling away, but then my verbal loop kicked back in, which kind of threw me back in there. But yeah, like, I don't know, my normal experience in my unconscious mind is generally flickers anyway, but I couldn't find a quiet spot.
Keep trying.
Okay.
There is one.
Okay.
Right? It's just that, it's like, squirrel, right? Like the squirrels are really fascinating, but it's like, what about the tree that's just sitting there, Can you stop chasing the squirrels and just look at the tree? And it's just a habit loop, right? So after a while you start to notice if you can find the still spot, which is 100% definitely there. There's a lot of open space that we're just not looking at because it's not a squirrel. It's like, it's not shiny and flashy. There's spots that are just where nothing's happening, lots of them actually. But if you can get used to focusing on that, that gets really, really interesting. Right? Yeah.
I was wondering if you could speak to that spot a little bit more, just to share my experience. I was really struggling with the meditation. I was about to do my own thing, and you mentioned like quiet spot, and kind of like spontaneously, I got like this kind of black egg-shaped spot somewhere in my head, like behind my eye on the left side. And it just sort of like appeared, and I found like, oh, nothing is going on there. It had like a little bit of a Space Odyssey monolith kind of vibe. And it was cool, it was interesting, and I was with that for a little bit, but looking back, I'm curious, like, I don't necessarily know whether that was the spot or what other people's spots look like, or what to do with that experience.
Was anything happening there?
No. Things were happening on the border.
Sure. But there you go. That's a spot where nothing's happening. It may be the case that some part of you is generating a picture of blackness, and so it actually is a little bit of activity. But, if you sit there and even, generate pictures of nothing happening long enough, really nothing will be happening there. So that's just like, that would be the hard way to do it. But if that's what arose for you, great. Then just keep, again, don't try to generate it. And you may notice that the spot moves around slowly, or there's more than one, or it's changing in various ways. But, in the end, one of the most beautiful, powerful, wonderful, like bright, sweet things to meditate on is just the mind itself doing what it does. And it turns out there's whole spots where nothing's going on. It's really interesting. And even the places where stuff is going on can also be really interesting. So, making friends with your own mind is what this is about. We're not gonna, pound our mind into submission or force it to have no thoughts or turn it into our slave or something. The idea is we're befriending our own mind. So just being with it and checking it out is really fascinating. Letting it be what it is. Yes?
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I've never had that instruction of focusing on the quiet place in my mind, and I just really enjoyed it. For me, it was just the absence of all the busyness. I don't know. It was something about it that I found, very comforting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super comforting.
Yeah.
And we're just either used to focusing on the busyness or trying to make a still spot, which when you think about it is just more busyness. Right? So it's just we're focused on all the activity, but that's just a habit, and there's a place of non-activity. There's actually lots of them. And so that can be a new habit, something, the thing you're looking for, the peace we desire is right there. You don't have to make it. You don't have to do some kind of psychic surgery on your mind and be a great person, plus do some magic, plus take the right supplements, plus, have the right political beliefs and all that to make your mind calm. In fact, probably none of that will do it. Instead, you just get good at noticing that it already is calm, in at least parts of it. Yes?
Hi, Michael.
Hi.
First time coming to see you. Thank you. It's
Welcome.
Really great meditation.
You're welcome.
So I'll try to be succinct. Many years I spent meditating on silence and stillness, letting go and awareness, and just in the last few months I've kind of come to admit to myself that my concentration is quite poor. So I've begun a concentration practice, which is really different from what I've been doing so far, or up until the last few months. And coming to see you and having this guided meditation is so deep and nourishing. I really loved it. And I don't know if you have any advice here, but how would you balance my growing concentration practice with a practice I don't even know what to call this, more sitting with the change, sitting with the silence. I think concentration's done very good things for me recently, but so I don't really know if going on two paths is a bad idea, or if I should be focusing on one, or wondering what you think.
I would say they're not two paths, right? Concentration, I just had you concentrating on stillness. That's what that is. And also, just like I was saying to Genevieve, when you contact an emotion, it tends to dissolve. If we are getting real concentrated on thoughts, they will tend to kind of fall apart before they even come together, right? So I was out, we went whale watching this last weekend out at Moss Landing, which is gorgeous, right? And off the coast there is the Monterey Submarine Canyon, so it's like the Grand Canyon of the sea. going right off of Moss Landing is a huge trench in the ocean, and so there's all this crazy marine life there, right? And lots of whales, lots of seals, lots of like sea otters with their babies on their chest and stuff. It was cool. And but there was quite a number of humpback whales, and there's a thing like I've done tons of whale watching over the years, and there's a thing in whale watching or marine biology that I was not aware of before I went out on these boats a lot, which is called a bait ball. Raise your hand if you know what a bait ball is. Yeah. So a bait ball, it means a whole bunch of basically sardines or anchovies, little fish, all gathering together near the surface. They are bait, and that is the ball. They gather near the surface, and then everything in the ocean jumps on them at once. So, birds try to get them, marine mammals try to get them, everything goes at once to that spot. And so, here you are out on the ocean, and there are waves everywhere, and just all kinds of stuff happening, but there's this one spot where the birds start all the seagulls start just going. And they're instead of being spread evenly over the water, they're coming together in a spot. And that activity, like you look at that and you know with 100% certainty, a whale is about to show up there. Because there's a whole bunch of them around here, and even though they're under the surface, there's the food. Right? And that bird activity is showing you there's a bait ball there. So there's like krill or whatever. And sure enough, these huge humpbacks will just eat the whole bait ball at once. In fact, we had two of them come just surface side by side, coming straight at the boat, and like blow their horns and just took the bait ball out. It was really beautiful. So, but I saw that because I knew there's that activity, here come the whales. So same thing with thought activity. If you're really paying attention to the mind in a very, very highly awake, aware mode, but also very equanimous, you will just notice these activities. And where there's kind of a thought ball forming, you can just sense it. And if you pay attention to that spot, as the whale of thought is arising, this is now a tortured metaphor, that I'm dedicated to, I'm not going to give it up. Just seeing it coming is enough that it's done. It will just go back under, right? It doesn't need to fully turn into this whole thought experience, because there's just something about witnessing it with that much clarity where it can just go back under. And so concentrating on the mind in that way, again, not controlling it, but very relaxed, very bright, you just start to see it as this totally natural activity, right? The mind's activity is just a whole bunch of, it's like an ocean of marine mammals just doing its thing. And there's no need or even possibility of controlling any of it. But none of it's a problem either. It's kind of magically wonderful to just observe it doing its thing, right? And you guys are lucky because I'm just shutting that down and just start talking about the sea lions of the mind and stuff. Just not do that right now. But I will say the baby otters are really cute. Sea otters are awesome. Well, yeah.
So these whales, in my case, that like if I really look at the thought uprising, let's say, there's not much speech, like very, very little speech. It's much more visual, like visual densities coming up, like phrase speech or even phrase images, but really like great visual bubbling. And these whales then they tend to go away, right? And spatially speaking, like away, and why I say that is because the still point to me is where the gun goes somehow.
Yeah, or where the gongs come to when
Yeah.
the to go to gone, right?
But to me, it's really going away. It's like the stillness is kind of all around. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't have to.
Can it be? Or
I mean, it is everywhere, right? If we get technical, so you can experience however you experience it, and that's great. One, if we had kept going with the meditation, one of the things I would have put together is like, you can observe that all the things in experience that are going to gone are going to gone in one of those still spots. In fact, they might all be going to gone in the same still spot. And as you start wrapping it all together like that, it will get rather wonderful. So, but having, instead of that at the center, having it at the periphery is just another way of experiencing the same thing. So yeah, cool. Go with it. Everybody's mind is unique, right? Meditate on snowflakes, yes.
So on the kind of sleep note, sometimes when I'm really tired, I get this unbearable restlessness that just feels so difficult to be with. And I need to kind of take my attention out of my, more into sight in the room, and then kind of titrate back in.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, do you have any suggestions about how to work with that restlessness that just feels like, I just want to jump out of my skin?
Yeah, I mean, you talked about two good ways, focusing out and, noticing other stuff and then kind of coming back in little by little. But in the long run, the way to work with it is to meditate directly on it and use it as an equanimity object, just like with people with super bad chronic pain. You can only look away from that for so long. Eventually, you just got to meditate right on the center of it over and over and over till that becomes your meditation, right? And that's really powerful because the pain will stop seeming like pain after a while. Same thing with the restlessness. When your skill level is high enough to encounter it, like even for a moment like that, or let's say you were talking about titrating back, so instead of ground zero of the pain, you're like near it and work at that level until eventually you can just be right in the restlessness and just let it be as uncomfortable as it is and watch your mind go crazy and just sit with it. Just let it be restless, and what will happen? It will just stop being restless eventually.
So it's
And
just
then,
kind of flexing a muscle to be with it more and be with it more.
Yeah, so don't, be nice to yourself, be compassionate, don't just slam into it, but work up to it. But as you work up to it, you'll just be able to sit right in the center of the restlessness. And eventually you just basically can never be restless again because you're just so used to sitting with it. It's like you can have equanimity, and it takes resistance for there to be restlessness. And so what you're teaching yourself is to be with it and relax, and then it goes away. Yeah.
Sleeping more would help too.
What's that?
Sleeping more
Sleeping
would
more
help
does help. Sleeping more does help. It's sometimes you just under retreat conditions or whatever have to meditate while you're super sleepy. There's kind of nothing worse. It's horrible, but what's the cure? You keep finding the feelings of sleepiness, which are, your face is melting, stuff like that. It's very unpleasant, and keep contacting it. So it's kind of the brute force method, but Vipassana loves this method, right? As long as you're compassionate to yourself and building the equanimity, the idea is go into everything, no matter how unpleasant it is. As long as you do it little by little and carefully, that's the deal. That is the meaning of Vipassana. Go in. Let's meditate. Great. Thanks for coming. Come on back next week. Bring some friends. Bring some marine mammals or, terrestrial mammals. I think we have announcements from somebody or someone or something.
I can do announcements. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out. I'm here. Yeah, so welcome to San Francisco Dharma Collective. Most of you are regulars here. If not, feel free to approach any of us afterwards if you have questions about how things work. Brendan's right back here.
Who are you?
That's, my name's Genevieve.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure, maybe whoever arose just in that moment there might be a Genevieve, I'm not sure. But yeah, we have a lot of great stuff coming up. We have some new classes starting up in the 5 p.m. slot, so that's exciting. Todd is here, he's an instructor on Thursday evenings. We also have a really cool sensory-based introductory to meditation course starting on Wednesdays. We've got the Death Sangha coming up starting on June 22nd with Michael, and that's
Everyone's guaranteed to die eventually
in the moment.
in the class.
Great plans.
Really trying to keep those numbers down. Okay, so you know, it's for a special set of interests. But yeah, we have just so much going on. So that's going to be a once-a-month class. We also have the Psychedelic Sangha that usually meets on, I think it's the third Saturday of every month, and that is just a thrill ride. We're all having a really good time with that one. Mimi has a day-long coming up.
It's a 3-hour workshop.
So it's a short workshop, and
Integrating your energetic practices. So it's, I'll introduce you to some TMI meditation, which is very spatial. We'll do some yin yoga and also some pranayama practices. So it's a Sunday morning.
Aren't you also doing some kind of yantra thing?
Yeah, that's in July. Yantra painting, which is a wonderful way of meditating in a different way, actually drawing an image that actually represents your body and its relationship to the cosmos. It's a very interesting practice.
great stuff coming up. What's the date of the next one? The Sunday morning?
19th of May, which is a Sunday.
19th of May, so it's coming up right up. And of course, we encourage you to donate and donate generously. There is a box, there is a opportunity to use your credit card. Mike is standing by to take your card. We also have Venmo. Lines are open right now. We also encourage you to become a monthly subscriber if you haven't done that yet, and you can access that on our website. Also dates and times for all these upcoming phenomenal events that we have going on. And if you'd like to be a volunteer, please don't hesitate to sign up. So thanks so much.
Oh, and Deborah Eden 12 tomorrow night.
Oh, thank you. Anything else that I'm missing, Vicki?
April 27th.
You can volunteer, you can talk to me or to Brendan about that. To volunteers post visits in the States.
And Michael?
I was going to say April 27th, which is how many Saturdays? In a week.
Yeah.
Me and Tucker Peck will be having a day long here about the, sort of like Venn diagram between psychology, what psychology works on and what meditation works on, and where that overlaps and where it doesn't overlap. And we'll be doing some special meditations that are like more psychologically focused and so on.
Will that be streamed?
What's that?
Will it be streamed?
Supposedly. So, yeah, we shall see.
And if you're curious about that, I highly recommend Michael's podcast with Tucker Peck, which is a fascinating listen and will definitely make you want to come to that. Yeah.
So, come on. All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you.